interventions by critical stakeholders in and outside the sector. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu stated this while presenting another batch of 10,000 professional kits to frontline health workers, this time in the southwest geopolitical zone. State House correspondent Adeniyi Taiwo reports.
Like their counterpart in 4 other geopolitical zones, who have already taken their own allocation of personal protective gears from the Renewed Hope Initiative, midwives in Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Ekiti, Osun and Ondo states now have one less challenge to worry about as they take delivery of their own.
Procured 60,000 branded scrubs and 60,000 pairs of Crocs as an incentive to encourage and support the tireless dedication of our midwives. This donation has been made possible through the generous support from an anonymous global partner dedicated to improving health outcomes for our citizens. The donor is committed to supporting the Organization of African First Ladies for Development and the healthcare sector in Nigeria, with a specific focus on reducing infant and maternal morbidity and mortality.
We assure you of our full support in every of your initiatives. We look forward to more collaboration in working together to build a brighter future for all our citizens.
Your Excellency has set out to empower, to motivate about 40% of the registered midwives in our country. What we are doing, Your Excellency, is creating a critical mass of motivated and empowered professionals that can help us to deliver on the agenda of Mr. President.
Under the Economic Empowerment Program of RHI, the First Lady empowered 1,000 women petty traders in Ondo State with a sum of 50,000 naira each for business recapitalization. The First Lady also paid a courtesy visit to the Akure residence of national leader of Afenifere, Pa Ruben Fashoranti, where she conveyed President Bola Tinubu's good wishes to the 98-year-old leader.
Very happy, particularly with the performance of Muslim.
Earlier at a meeting with traditional rulers in the state, the First Lady renewed her appeal for them to throw their weight behind current efforts by her initiative to scale down prevalence of HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, cervical cancer, as well as child and maternal mortality in the country. From Akure in Ondo State, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
And now with targets to cut staggering maternal death toll by 20% and under 5 mortality by 15% by 2027, the federal government has unveiled guidelines and documents to ensure safer births and a healthier future for mothers and their babies. Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, while unveiling the documents in commemoration of the 2025 Safe Motherhood Day in Abuja, said maternal health is a collective responsibility from governments, families to frontline health workers.
We call on all stakeholders, especially our state governors in every state. We all must join hands in making sure that safe motherhood is a reality in every village, in every ward, and in every home. And let's ensure that no woman dies while giving birth and that while giving life. And that let's ensure that every child that is born in Nigeria takes their first breath in safety, with love, and with hope.
We'd like to encourage the government to enact and uphold laws that protect women and children of right, including maternity protection and access to sexual and reproductive health services. We, the partner, including WHO, UN agency, other international organizations, would like to reiterate our commitment to sustain our support to the government.
Emphasis was laid on community engagement as crucial in tackling cultural, social and economic factors contributing to high maternal and newborn deaths in the country. The theme for this year's Safe Motherhood Day is Innovation for Safer Births, Collective Responsibility to Crush Maternal Mortality, with the slogan, Care for Moms, Hope for Babies. 17th of April every year has been set aside to commemorate World Hemophilia Day and to bring more attention to the disorder. The National Hospital Abuja has carried out an awareness campaign. Teresa Sherlam has the details.
Hemophilia is rare. Inherited bleeding is a disorder in which the blood doesn't clot properly due to deficiency in clotting. This leads to prolonged bleeding, even for minor injuries, and can cause serious internal bleeding, especially in joints and muscles.
We have lost so many people. We have had situations where people get permanently deformed because they don't even know what is the problem. And then when they know the problem, they don't even know where to assess the best and optimum care.
Experts note that the condition is usually inherited and linked to the X chromosome, making it more common in males and not left alone female and children. This carrier explains the symptoms further.
The severity is categorized into three. We have the mild, the moderate, the severe. So those with severe symptoms, we talk about their factor level very low. The normal protein factor level is about 150.
Carriers and their parents plead for government support to help them in assessing treatment.
Sometimes I don't sleep at all. I stay awake throughout the night. I miss school for months, so it's not as good as I hoped it to be.
But the challenge we have here is that the factor acid is not available in Nigeria. So it's quite very expensive. With 2 boys, the journey has been very, very, very horrible, I must say it. So I'm sending this message to Nigeria government to assist us.
Many believe that the day is a wake-up call on all prioritize regular medical checks. Teresa Shinum, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has commenced investigation into the utilization of takeoff grants, bailout funds and interventions allocated to federal ministries, departments and agencies as well as government-owned enterprises from 2015 to date. At the inaugural sitting of the special committee handling the probe, the House leadership emphasized the importance of transparency and accountability in the investigation, assuring Nigerians that the committee's findings will be made public.
Is to improve transparency in governance as one of the fundamental tenets of democracy, enhance clarity on takeoff grants, bailout funds and interventions and other allocations, as well as the utilization processes, strengthen accountability, promote efficient and optimal utilization of public resources for the benefit of all Nigerians, and ultimately identify areas for improvement and recommend corrective measures.
The hearing is not a witch-hunting exercise. Therefore, I would like to urge heads of agencies and organizations present today to provide truthful and accurate information to this committee in order to enable us carry our work.
The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation has been asked to furnish the committee with a breakdown of all disbursements of bailout funds to MDAs to enable a thorough investigation. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority conducted an impromptu night inspection of petrol stations to identify those under dispensing fuel. Several stations were caught shortchanging customers, leading to immediate sanctions, including sealing of pumps and station closures. Lydia Sampson tells us more.
In a bid to curb under-dispensing of petrol, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, embarked on an impromptu inspection of petrol stations in Abuja and its environs. The strategic move, which started in the day and lasted into the night, aims to identify and penalize stations involved in under-dispensing, ensuring consumers receive accurate quantity of fuel for their money. The North Central Regional Coordinator for the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Majid Abdul Qadir, emphasized the agency's commitment to ensuring consumers get value for money and warned that offenders will face stiff penalties.
By the time we seal a station completely, the traffic in that station will move to another station, and before you know it, a queue will be created, and the impression will be that there's scarcity. So we don't want to send that wrong signal to the public. That's why we seal pump by pump. And today alone, we have sealed over 20 pumps.
She reiterated that these enforcement actions aligns with NMDPRA's ongoing efforts to regulate fuel distribution, promote safety and eradicate illegal operations across Nigeria. Motorists applauded the NMDPRA enforcement action.
It's actually a pandemic. Like most of the filling stations, their meters are normally not, regular. I don't know how they do it, but
if they can do the way they are doing, I think it's good, and it's going to help the poor in this country.
The authority is determined to deter malpractices and ensure a safe, fair and just fuel distribution system. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
And in other news, the presidency assures Nigerians that President Bola Tinubu remains fully engaged in Nigeria's governance, even though he is away in Europe. A statement signed by Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, explains that the President's absence remains temporary and in line with the communicated time frame of approximately 2 weeks. The President left Paris for London at the weekend and has maintained constant communication with key government officials overseeing critical national matters, including directives to security chiefs to address emerging threats in some parts of the country. His return to Abuja and the resumption of duties at Aso Villa will follow the conclusion of the Easter holiday. The President's commitment to his duties remains unwavering, and his administration continues to function effectively under his leadership. The President assures the public of the public's concern and assures all Nigerians that governance proceeds without interruption. And now the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, on behalf of the Federal Executive Council, felicitates with Nigerians, particularly the Christian faithful, on the solemn occasion of Easter celebration in commemoration of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The SGF describes the sacrificial love of Jesus Christ to humanity, as exemplified by his death and resurrection, as a beacon of hope, salvation, and liberation for the Christendom. The SGF urges Christians to imitate the sterling lifestyle of Jesus Christ, as well as his teachings on love, forbearance, selflessness, and forgiveness in all aspects of their endeavors, while praying for peace and unity of the nation, and to support President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda for a prosperous Nigeria. You are watching the news at 11. We now take a break. We'll be right back. Thank you for being there. The federal government says the reforms in the power sector have increased power generation and distribution in the last 2 years and will be sustained to accelerate economic development. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu gave the assurance at the ministerial press briefing in Abuja. Joshua Ojito reports.
It's the turn of the power sector at the ongoing ministerial briefing as the present administration gives scorecard of stewardship in the last 2 years. From generation to transmission, as well as distribution, reforms in the sector, federal government says is addressing market liquidity challenge, thereby raising revenue with 700 billion naira in 2024, as 11 states have established the electricity market. For the first time in Nigeria's history, peak power generation hit 6,003 megawatts, with target to generate, transmit and distribute 8,000 megawatts by 2027. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu says more investments have been made in the last 2 years to strengthen transmission capacity, with plans to regionalize the national grid through introduction of Eastern and Western supergrid.
So we're in the initial phases of developing the Makurdi hydro project and revitalizing the Kaduna Thermal Plant. Makurdi hydro project is a large hydro project of about 1,500 megawatts, because we need to start planning for the future.
On the renewable energy subsector, more communities, public buildings, educational and health institutions have been connected with solar mini-grids to close energy gap.
This government is bent on ensuring that the power sector supports the development of all other critical sectors in the country.
Sustaining the trajectory, the power minister says challenges of vandalism, power theft and poor investment must be tackled. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
And similarly, modernizing technology to enhance public broadcasting as one of the 5 pillars of the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation remains a priority with steady progress. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris gave this assurance at the ongoing ministerial press briefing, also at the National Press Center, Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara has that.
Federal Executive Council members give account of stewardship as ministers within the last 2 years. The rules of engagement did not change, as the host Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, used the platform to update Nigerians about ongoing efforts to accelerate the transformation of the nation's media ecosystem.
I have only recently returned from a trip that took me, together with some of the heads of agencies, to the American National Association of Broadcasters NAB conference and workshop in Las Vegas, USA, under the theme, the technology, the trend, and the future. Following this trip also, I was in France recently for the Nigerian Business Forum hosted by the French government's Business France Enterprise. On the sidelines of those activities also, I met with the executives of United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, to further fine-tune the imminent takeoff of the first of its kind Media and Information Literacy Institute that Nigeria will be hosting here in Abuja. That institute will go a long way towards strengthening Nigeria's media environment and supporting journalists to carry out their functions even more effectively.
As the administration gets closer to its mid-term, he reaffirmed the status of the media under the Tinubu administration as powerful in the democratic evolution that is open to enjoy government support. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
By embedding social responsibility into organizations' DNA, public relations becomes a tool for authentic storytelling rather than just reputation management. This was the thrust of discussion at the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations with the topic, Sinking Profit and Social Responsibility for Sustainable Public Relations Practice, which was moderated by the Executive Director of Programs, Nigerian Television Authority, Tari Taylor. Haman Jabani reports.
Measuring the dual impact of profit and social responsibility is believed to be crucial for sustainable public relations, as the future of PR lies in balancing purpose and profit, where social responsibility is not a cost but a driver of innovation and brand loyalty While aligning goals with societal benefit, organizations can build resilient reputations. In his presentation, Adetokunbo Modupe says in the era of quick fix handout budget, impulsive or ad hoc interventions without correlation with overall business profit remains only with dishonest, not to be trusted organizations. As they continue to operate on one leg of profiteering, their reputational vulnerability will age delicately. Moderating the session, Executive Director of Programs, Nigerian Television Authority, Tari Taylor, believes that to align profit and social responsibility in public service, businesses must first integrate ethical values in their core operations.
That's why we exist, to serve the Nigerian people, to inform, to educate, to entertain, to basically promote the values and the national identity for Nigerians. So even though we want to make profit, even though that is very important to us, we would never compromise on our constitutional mandate, and we would always find a path to walk so that we can navigate those two responsibilities with wisdom and in sincerity.
Some of the participants speak.
You must have reputation intact, and the more you are able to at least maintain your reputation intact, the better you'll be able to be a credible voice where people will be able to at least listen to what you said and be able to act on the government's direction. As a spokesperson, you generate information and you share that information, and the credibility of your voice depending on the kind of reputation you have.
Everything they have complained like a pain point, we're able to deal with it earlier in Kwara, so it doesn't give us any problem. But we're taking back citizens' engagement, we're taking back to be more humane in our interaction with our constituency.
In trying to assess and get equipped with new ideas and new materials for the job is a great thing.
For PR to be truly sustainable, it must help organizations do good such that profit and purpose are not in conflict but mutually reinforcing. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Standards, regulations and enforcement agency are set to translate plans to actions, policies to practice and challenges into sustainable solutions with special projects on strengthening national infrastructural and human capacity for sound chemicals and waste management in Nigeria. Correspondent Mina Daniels has details.
Improper chemical and waste management disposal in Nigeria as a developing country pose great health hazards as electronic waste, expired chemicals, etc. are threats to environmental and public health. Hence, the United Nations Environmental Programme UNEP and National Environmental Standards Regulatory and Enforcement Agency NESRA's collaboration to build a resilient system that safeguards people, ecosystems and future generations.
We want to track these chemicals to make sure that from inception, either from production or importation, as the case always is in our country, that we track it through its lifetime to the point that it's disposed. We want to know what is really...
Cities and regulatory agencies, industry actors and other stakeholders, as well as improve national infrastructure for monitoring, disposal and recycling.
We know that the WHO reported millions of lives lost due to harmful effects of chemicals in the environment. We know that the chemicals cause acute poisoning, intellectual disabilities, cancer, and endocrine disruption. We also know that the most vulnerable populations, including workers in small and medium businesses in developing countries, we know that fetuses, children, pregnant women, the elderly, and low-income people.
That will be looked at in trying to bring up an action plan for sound management of chemicals and waste. And essentially, human capacity building is very key.
Partners from industry and civil society organizations all participated at the event held in Abuja. In Abuja, Mina Daniels, NTA.
And that's the news at 11 on NTA News 24. Thank you for watching. I'm Ogoch Kuka. Ona.